Hi, I'm Terry Hatlin Stanley, and I am the Director of Sales here at Merrill Manufacturing. Okay, now I'm going to cover just a few of the situations that could possibly cause a leak and where it could cause a leak in your yard hydrant. Let's just start at the bottom, and one of them that could cause a leak down here in the valve body where the inlet of your water is coming through. There are several things that could cause an issue. One of them is if you have sediment or debris that works through your water line, it will become embedded under where your plunger seats to stop the incoming water. And over time, that could build up. I mean, every water system is going to have some degree of sediment. As that builds up under the plunger, you will find that over time, it's getting a good enough seal so that it's not leaking out of the top, but maybe it's not getting a complete seal. And water will find its way around the plunger and it will come out of this 1/8 inch drain hole in the valve body. So a lot of times you're not going to know about that leak immediately, depending on your bury depth, because the 1/8 inch drain hole is keeping up on the water coming around it, which means it's a very small leak. To rectify that, you're going to follow the instructions on how to flush out the yard hydrant that we provide. You're going to take the head off, turn the water back on, and flush it out. But again, we have those detailed instructions available to you. Let's say something bigger than a little bit of sediment becomes lodged under here, and that happens. I've seen small pebbles that have become worked through a water line and become embedded. When that happens, you're going to actually probably get a leak coming out of your nozzle up above, because what happens is if that can't get a tight seal, it is going to not be able to keep up out of the 1/8 inch drain hole and travel up your standpipe and drip out of your nozzle. Again, no need to dig up. You're going to follow the same instructions on flushing your hydrant, and that will take care of the situation. The other thing could be over time, the hydrant becomes out of adjusted. Let's say it gets used all the time. You're going to get a little bit of wear on your plunger, and this pivot connector in between the draw straps and underneath the handle is what controls the stroke of the operating rod. On the E5000, that'll be a little bit different. It'll have a set screw, but same principle. When that gets slightly out of adjustment, simple to fix. You're going to take the handle off, follow our detailed instructions that we provide on how to adjust your hydrant. You're going to move this top nut. You're going to turn it counterclockwise to move it up like one thread. Push the pivot connector up to it and tighten the nut underneath it. When you move the pivot connector up the operating rod, it's going to increase the stroke of the rod, which when that happens, it's going to push your plunger tighter down into the valve body. So that is a very simple adjustment. You know, if there's a little bit of sediment under there, you can certainly adjust through that and take care of that without having to flush it out. You will start very small increments, like one thread at a time. If it doesn't fix it after you've tried it twice, you're definitely going to have to flush it out, because we don't want you to over adjust it and get the plunger seating too tight. But once again, I'm just going to point out, don't dig it up. We can handle all of this from up above. Another leak that could possibly happen, doesn't happen very often, but here at your packing nut where it screws into the head and the operating rod passes through it, if you start to get a leak around the operating rod above that nut, that means your packing gland under the nut has become worn. You would purchase a kit that contains the packing gland. When replacing that packing gland, this is very important. I don't want you to dig out the old packing. So you're going to remove the draw straps, the handle, and then you're going to unscrew this nut. The nut is going to come all the way off. Your packing is going to be stuck down in here yet. Do not try to dig that out. It's going to come out in little tiny pieces. You're never going to get it all out in one piece. But the packing gland that you will receive in the kit is going to be about 1/2 inch long, maybe a little bit more. You can cut that with an X-Acto knife, a razor, a utility blade, but you can slice about 1/8 inch off of that. And what you're going to do is you're going to put that right on top of the old packing, and then put the other away and save it in case you ever need it again. But then you're going to put your nut back on top of it and tighten that down. The reason being, is if you put too much packing in there, then when you go to tighten it down, your nut's not going to be tightened down far enough, or you're going to tighten it down and it's going to compress so tight that it's going to make it difficult to open. So that is one leak. Again, doesn't happen very often, but nothing needs to be dug up to rectify that. I kind of covered earlier on leaking out of the nozzle, and again, that's going to be down here if you're not getting a tight seal down here at the valve body. And that pretty much covers everywhere that we could possibly have a leak at. Again, we do have very detailed instructions on how to rectify these issues, and nothing has to be dug up to do that.